All right, Batman fans, this is one of those videos that I will hope that you pick apart and scrutinize heavily. That way we can kind of see if we'll come to some conclusion. Now, if you enjoy the content and you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Trying to get to a specific subscriber count, 1,000 specifically, but do what you like. Let's go. Now, I guess in releasing this so-called little photo that Warner Brothers Games has done in terms of the Capture the Night theme, I think they've revealed multiple factions, and it's kind of almost obvious from anybody who's looking at this in a more critical way that we're looking at an RPG Batman game. Now, this is not what I'm discussing. I discussed this in an earlier video. You can scour around and find something of that nature. People are already talking about this. But I think it goes to some, I think it provides some clarity that the Damian Wayne Batman game that was canceled, if you want to see more information on that, there's actually a thread on the Batman Arkham Reddit and subreddit page if you're wondering. And this Damian Wayne Batman game that was actually canceled, I think it was canceled because it was a linear experience. It was supposed to be like Damian Wayne, a successor to Batman. And I think this kind of fits the story because of the way Arkham Knight ended. So I think they wanted to go on and leverage that story and move on. But in the past few years, we've seen gaming shift, drastically, in the sense of it started as a minor shift where many games were going to more RPG-esque type formats. Now, it's not like I'm not talking about MMO in that sense. Yes, some games move directly there. Some games change their patterns there. But what we're seeing is games want to be able to provide a lasting relevance and not just be a straight shot where, you beat the game and you're done and you're waiting for DLC. I think games want to be able to provide depth for players and somewhat of a generating world or regenerating play patterns. Some people have even said that Rocksteady's next game is going to be like the Avengers game, but I think this shift is probably what got that game canceled, because that game is a single player game. And if you had beaten that game, it would have been just one more game added to your library that you'll most likely play over and over again. But in my estimation, the games as a service model does open the door for more monetization for these companies. The problem, though, that players have many times is the monetization that this opens up can have conflict with communities. Some communities don't like cosmetics, don't like all those things. They just want you to provide gaming for them and then let cosmetics be things that are achievable in-game. Some communities don't mind as long as they are fair and you provide a way for players to be able to achieve them in a realistic way. And then some communities are more like, as long as it doesn't affect gameplay, you can put as much of it as you want, in terms of maybe sometimes they'll go sell maybe weapons and stuff. Now, I'm not saying Batman's going to get there. God forbid you have to pay for a cryptographic encryptor, ability. Ooh, that'd be really, really salty, and people are not going to embrace that concept. But what I'm saying is, they probably want to make a game that has a living, breathing, open world that is systematically always regenerating activities for players to do, and then maybe even bring an online component to a Batman game. Now, regarding the validity of an online component, I don't know, but hey, Warner Brothers Montreal did it with Batman Arkham Origins, so it's not something that they are probably not going to be used to. So this might, in fact, allow for them to be able to continue bringing in, say, if they have an online component to the game, then they can start bringing in maybe new characters in the Batman Arkhamverse into that online component. Maybe this new character is coming out, everybody hold on to your seats and everybody's all excited, and the game can have maybe like a 2-3 year support cycle. I think this is a wide shift from creating just a store that will give you all kinds of ways to save time, or call, time savers. In the past, Warner Brothers tried that model. They did it with Middle-earth Shadow of War, and it did not work out. They created a very activity-heavy game, and then went ahead and created this storefront that they had to pull later. If they had had a way to actually really make their online system more interactive, where you can just co-op and have somebody jump into your session and go run, missions with you. They kind of made it in a way where you had to attack other people's forts and stuff. I guess that provided some value for people that were in that ecosystem, but some people also like the cooperative type deal. So maybe if there's a way to do it, there are all these missions and all these things that come up in place after you've defeated and beaten the story, that you can have people tag along with you. We don't know what direction this is all going to go. I'm just saying, in all of these different ideas, that this is probably the reason a Damian Wayne game was not going to suffice for the future model and format of which they want to start releasing games. The Damian Wayne Batman game, in my opinion, I think a lot of players would have wanted it. I mean, I've argued against Damian Wayne's own his reputation, but nonetheless, I now see a reason why players have said that would have provided for a much better story to see what good writers can actually do with the character in a video game. So for a single player game, a Damian Wayne game is perfect. It's excellent. I love single player games. I have a library filled with them. I've played a lot of them. So I'm rooting for something of that nature. But I think the reality is starting to dawn that many games are going to have to start moving to this kind of model in order for them to extend their game and keep their games relevant, so that they can monetize by adding DLC. So that if a game, so think about it this way. If a game is a single player experience and then they quickly drop the DLC, maybe like 3 months down the road or even a month down the road, after the DLC is played, the game is somewhat irrelevant. There has to be a way to keep that game relevant, to continue to maybe monetize, or even keep the community that is involved in that game interested in a potential sequel or potential works that are coming from that studio. Now, in the case of Insomniac, what they tried to do was they tried to give some Spider-Man suits, which we've not seen any Spider-Man suits in a while. I wish they would keep doing that, because that will continue to generate interest for the oncoming, leaked, rumored second Spider-Man game that might be in place. Now, if they do that, people will continue to, speculate, but it still doesn't hurt anything. And they don't have to give suits. They could just put some really interesting things, do scavenger hunts, tidbits, and say, hey, we've added something in here for you guys to go find. I think that will provide for them, all kinds of really cool stuff. But I'll discuss that in another video. Let me not give too much away. But hey, like I said, pick this apart. Let me hear what you think. Do you think the nature of this new Batman game was something that they wanted to be directed, that is publishers and shot callers, that they wanted to be developed to a more RPG-esque nature, and the Damian Wayne game probably could not fit that model, so it had to be scrapped? Or do you think that there's another reason that we don't know, that you may think is the ultimate reason that game was disappeared from production? Anyways, that's all I have for today. Thank you very much for joining the conversation. I'm XGamerX, Video Game Fight School. Take it easy. See you in the next one. Peace.